Hi, Algebra 1. So for this section, we're actually diving into your book. This is section 1.1. By the way, it's always chapter and then the section of the chapter. So chapter 1, section 1. And we're working with inverse operations and solving equations. So this is the first kind of real algebra meaty topic that we get into, right? We always talk about algebra, we're finding x. All right, so for today, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to jump right into some examples. I'm going to start with example 1, and we're going to have x minus 3 is equal to negative 5. So before we go ahead and we talk a little bit about what we're doing, when we talk about solving equations, we're always kind of trying to figure out, okay, what does this variable stand for? AKA, what does that variable mean, or what number does it represent that makes this equation true? All right, so that's what we're trying to figure out. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to use inverse operations, meaning kind of the opposite, to undo and isolate that variable. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight this negative 3 here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to undo that negative 3. So to undo it, we need to add 3. And if we do something to one side, we have to do it to the other side of our equation. And just so you know, we're kind of working on this line in terms of our equations. So now we have this operation here, and we can go ahead and we can start solving. And we, of course, have x minus 3 plus 3. So this part goes away, and on the left side of your equation, you're left with x. And we're going to set that equal to, we have negative 5 plus 3. That's equal to negative 2. So my answer on this one is x equals negative 2. So this is my answer. And to go ahead and start labeling some work here is that this is what we call our inverse operation. It's the opposite. It's what undoes the operations that are happening on one side of the equation. And we, of course, I know a lot of you guys know this already. Like, you could just look at this equation and say, okay, negative 2 minus 3 equals negative 5, duh. But this, of course, we need to go ahead, show your work, show this step. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Look, 3 exclamation marks. Show your work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to, for the you tries, I'm going to have you copy down this problem. G plus 8 is equal to negative 2. Pause your video and try it on your own. All right, welcome back. So hopefully you're checking your work right here. And this is what some inverse operations look like, is that negative 8. Because this is a plus 8, we're going to minus 8. That's going to make this kind of disappear in here, right? Because plus 8 minus 8 equals 0. That leaves me with G is equal to, and this is negative 10. And that's my final answer. Now, we should be checking our work, but I'm kind of checking it in my head. So negative 10 plus 8 equals negative 2. It works out for you. Okay, let's go ahead and look at another example for us. Example 2. Okay, so 3x is equal to negative 18. So when you have a variable, aka a letter, next to a number, it means multiplication. So this really means 3 times x equals negative 18. And to undo a times, you need to go ahead and you need to divide. And we use division as a fraction sign or a fraction bar. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. That leaves me with x. So we are left with x is equal to -6. And again, just to kind of point out some things, this is the inverse operation. And it's the inverse operation for this one because multiplication is undone by division, right? Division is undone by multiplication. So they kind of go hand in hand with that one. Okay, so I have example 3. This one looks a little bit more complicated. We have x divided by 4 is equal to 6. Now, I see a lot of students kind of mess up on this one, but that's totally fine. Not you guys, you're gonna rock this. So I always tell everyone to go ahead and kind of say it out loud to yourself. So x divided by 4. And what's gonna undo that divide? It's a multiplication. So we're gonna multiply this by 4. All right, and if we multiply one side by 4, we of course have to multiply our other side by 4. If you do something to one side of the equation, you have to do it to the other. It's kind of that balancing act. So 4 divided by, so this guy over here, 4 over 4 leaves you with just x. So on the left side of our equation, x is equal to, and then here we have 24. And if you always kind of want to go back, and a good idea is to check. So quick check on this one, 24 divided by 4 is equal to 6. That works out for us, it's true. Okay, we are gonna do one more here. We are on example 4. And this is gonna be a few different steps here. So 3x minus 4 is equal to -10. Okay, when you're doing inverse operations, you want to do them kind of in opposite PEMDAS order. I'm going to choose orange here and say opposite PEMDAS. Now you kind of have to be careful with that because it's not completely opposite at times with your grouping symbols and whatnot. So it's always kind of a good idea just to kind of watch and undo your equation. So for us here, we're going to start with our addition and subtraction. So we're going to start with this -4. And to undo that, we're going to add 4 to both sides. So there is one inverse operation. There's one step. Switch back to purple here. So the reason we do these inverse operations is because it cancels it out. It goes back to 0. -4 plus 4 is 0. So then we have 3x is equal to -6. All right. And we're not quite done on this one because we have another step, another way to undo this. So we need to, again, divide by 3 because it's 3 times x. Divide by 3. That makes this go back to just x is equal to, watch your negatives, -2. So this is my answer right here. X is equal to -2. But I would like to go ahead, I'll do it in red. I'm going to check my work just to double check that I got to the right answer. And you can always plug that variable back in. So I'm going to plug it in right here. So we have 3 times -2 minus 4 is equal to -10. And we're kind of wondering if this is true. -6 minus 4 is equal to -10. -10 for sure is equal to -10. Yes, it is the right one. Okay, let's go ahead and let's try one more. And as always, you can go ahead and pause this video. try this one on your own. It's going to be the most challenging one of the day. So we're going to do x minus 2 over 3 is equal to 8. All right, go ahead, pause if you want. And you hopefully have unpaused by now. So as a reminder, this kind of over sign, this over means divide. All right, and there are invisible parentheses around this x minus 2, as we know from our order of operations video a while ago. So what we need to do is that we need to undo this divided by 3. So in order to undo that, like we did before, so we're going to multiply by 3. So times 3 on both sides. Now, because we had these kind of invisible parentheses right here around x minus 2, that's protected. So that goes ahead, that cancels out. And then we're left with x minus 2 is equal to 24. I only have one more step in order to undo this, get it by itself. So plus 2, and we are left with x is equal to 26. You, of course, can go back and check your work if you want, just to make sure that you have the right answer. All right, good job, Algebra 1. We will see you tomorrow.